Coach, are you using AI tools like Claude, ChatGPT, or Perplexity, or any other AI tools, but you're still not generating content that attracts, connects, and converts? If that's you, then stay tuned, because in this episode, I'm walking you through how to actually make the AI tools sound like you so you could create a week's worth of content that converts in just 30 minutes. In case you're new around here, I'm Beverley Simpson, a former district fitness manager for a national gym in Manhattan. I generated over 7 figures online, and now I help hundreds of coaches build and scale profitable businesses in the online space, and I'm using AI tools to assist me and showing my clients how to do the same thing. And that's what we're going to be looking at inside of this week's episode. Couple things before we begin. Now, the truth is that most people are prompting and using AI tools like a generic search bar, which is really just scratching the surface of the capabilities of this powerful tool. So because of that, a lot of the output sounds like AI slop, with lots of 2-word sentences that are stacked like no fluff, no theory, just results. Or you see a lot of M dashes, or you see a lot of just generic output. Part of that is because of the prompting itself, which we're going to get to in this episode, but also some of it is because we are not training the language of the AI tool properly. So I'm going to break down today what it actually looks like. But the truth is that I've actually done a lot of this work for you. So you can check out the description inside of this episode or in the show notes if you're watching it live here on YouTube, or you're tuning into the podcast to learn all the ways that I've actually helped you save time to do this. But if you want to dive in and learn how to do it for yourself, then this episode is definitely for you. So couple of things before we begin. Number one is that it's essential that you check out some of these videos about how you can make sure that AI is not going to replace you, in case you have any of those feelings of like, oh my gosh, how do I make sure that we keep the human in coaching? I've done a lot of videos and training on how to make sure you're not relying on AI to incorporate your intellectual property, your IP, and to actually use AI to help you speed up production, help you speed up execution so that you can get more done in less time and still have the AI's output sound like you, look like you, and feel like your work. So in this video, I talked about how to make sure AI does not replace you. And in this video, I really broke down the differences in the languages and the different tools for AI, because in this video, it's more than just the prompting. Now we're going to discuss how you can actually train your AI model. And for the purposes of this, I'm going to focus mostly on Claude, and that's mostly because I have used the anthropic language of Claude, and I am using that. And so for the purposes of this training, I'm going to really use Claude as the upfront model. However, the same applies for OpenAI, ChatGPT, for Perplexity, whether you're using computer, and for Manus and Gemini, any other of the language models. The context still remains. I use Claude because it can use a combination of both the browser, what's on the internet, as well as the data and input that you use inside of your computer, and then you can code and create different programs with Claude using all of that context, which we're going to be talking about today. So likely, as a coach myself who has reviewed hundreds of pieces of content from pre-AI to now using AI and the combination of AI, I can see pretty quickly when someone is using AI with a basic generic prompt and then just copy and pasting basic prompts or basic outputs of what the ChatGPT or the Claude has actually said. So I know the difference. So it's really important that you're able to differentiate between what is your brain, what is the AI brain, and then what is your combination of co-creating where you input and you guys go back and forth together, robot, human, okay? It's really important that you're able to identify it, because part of the reason why my clients and me have been using these AI tools so successfully is because it's my IP, my intellectual property of what I have created in my life that's co-created in the output. Then I get to review my clients' work that saved them time through the assistance of the AI that's already trained, which is why this output becomes so powerful. And this is honestly the difference between why someone's prompt is so effective when they use the same prompt to an AI tool that is trained. And that's why your prompt that you put in can have a different output versus putting the same prompt in someone else's AI tool. It's not just the prompt that influences the output. It's also the knowledge and system instructions for your model that you're using. In fact, a lot of the context that ChatGPT, or the memory, the illusion of memory, is not what people actually think it is. When you're going back and forth with ChatGPT, it will feel like, oh, this ChatGPT knows me. But the truth is that it's only looking back through a certain amount of context window. When the reality is, when you set this up correctly, and we use Claude, it can sift through very powerful data from years back, but only if the knowledge source and the prompt is matching. That's the difference between a generic basic output, which I call level 1, versus a level 4 output. So the first thing we're going to work through is the 5 levels of output. So the first one, I want you to think of raw, generic. You typed a prompt, you get a generic response. That's how the majority of people are using AI right now, a glorified search bar. Then you have a level 2 output where you start giving the AI tools, whether it's Claude, whether it's ChatGPT, all of your transcripts and data input from your transcripts or from your frameworks, from your lessons. So now you are inputting data in a very specific way to Claude. So for example, in Claude specifically, all of the data from your tools that you use, like Google Drive, Slack, Fathom, or Zoom, any of those transcripts become a knowledge source or your second brain. So when you connect all that raw footage, then with the prompt, you're going to get a level 2 output. And that's usually where people often end when it comes to training their AI tools. But here's the truth. That costs a lot of money in data. It also costs a lot of time because the AI is going and sifting through all of this information of just raw data, essentially, that you are giving the tool without any guardrails. So now when we move into level 3 output, this is where we begin to build what I call doctrines. So if you're thinking about how you interact with AI, I want you to think all of your raw material is one. This is human brain only. Then you're going to have co-creation, where it's human and AI coming together to create a synthesized doctrine of how the AI should know your material so that you can then create, which will become level 4 output with skills. Claude will call this skills, but it's really just SOPs. So now what people get twisted because they miss the difference between what is a skill. So think of this as the task list for the AI only. The co-creation is you and AI together to create the skill. And the doctrine comes from the knowledge source. So the second brain is what you are ending up building. So this is all of your human brain is getting dumped into files. And then the second brain is AI reviewing the raw material, you co-creating a doctrine. essentially, that this is what your AI, your language, your Claude needs to live by. And so in order to start creating that, so like, for example, this is what I do for my clients inside of the Conversion Club, because I have trained my AI on 10 years of effective sales training, human psychology, and actual content that converts, that I have years and years and years of evidence showing me that's true. So I've taken all these knowledge sources of my education, of what I teach, and I put it into files. I created doctrines that the AI tool needs to live by, giving it example after example after example, and then I'm constantly refining with AI this doctrine so that the SOP that it follows when it's executing at that fourth layer of output, it is able to create a very powerful, effective piece, which is on a fourth level versus the first generic output. That is a difference between AI slop and content that still sounds like you, because it is you, and it's you teaching the AI tool how to sound like you, which is only as effective as the user using it. Because I know what is converting because of the years I have spent in sales, because I love sales, because I love conversion content. And this is why I'm showing you and sharing this with you, because I get the pleasure of working with people who just want to coach. They don't want to learn all of the ins and outs of these psychology components, which is great. That's why I did it for you. And what's really cool and powerful and amazing about this, and is part of how you are going to be able to separate yourself in the world where you are using AI to help your clients implement. Your clients might feel the same way about macro counting or intuitive eating, and they just want you to take the work off them. You learn how to build something like this, like a second brain for your clients, then you win. That's how you will stand apart from other people. And so what happens is you take all of your raw material and you ask AI, create a doctrine, create a system instructions that you are living by. And then you review it, you co-create, and then you will create a skill, an SOP. So now what makes this fourth layer is because now you've made the tool faster and save money because you've condensed the material. In your skill and SOP, you're going to be able to say, hey, you're going to create conversion content for people who want to start and grow profitable businesses as a personal trainer or health coach. Here's the method that I use. Here's the problem I solve, the outcome I get. I need 7 pieces of content that will flood my DMs with people who are wanting to work with me. And once you have given all of the knowledge sources to your Claude, to your Anthropic, once you've collected all of your raw material, you give them the doctrine that you're working from together, and then you give them that skill, that prompt. Based on everything you know about me, what are the common topics? Now, when you get this right, here's what's so amazing about the level 4 layer is Claude will then start identifying gaps for you and saying, oh, well, you write a lot about this, and this, but your clients are actually searching this, and this. Let's create some content like this, and this. This is part of what makes the output so good. Okay, so then this is why we use Claude, because once you have trained your AI tools, you could actually use AI to help support you with automation, which is the 5th level. So this is where, of course, with approval, you can use AI to assist you on tasks. So like in the accelerator training that I just did last week, I showed them how to automate their daily sales ritual so that they can have the people and know who's at the forefront of all the people that they need to touch base with every single day to follow up with to increase sales. Now, there are so many automated tools you can do that are there for you, but my Claude assistant saves me time. It's there doing it for me every single day. Before I even sit down, I sit down at my computer I know that I'm going to be looking at yesterday's sales and the P&L, which is all compiled and done for me as if I had an assistant, but now it's Claude doing it for me. Claude can't change any of the financials of my clients. It doesn't have that type of approval, but it can collect all of the data for me to show me all those really powerful, important numbers that I ask my clients to have all the time. But your cost per lead, your earnings per lead, your return on ad spend is at least 2 to 3 times your spend, and what is your cost per acquisition for client and customer. Because when you know those numbers, this is how you generate more and earn less, and then be able to assess the health of your customer journeys or funnels, as well as assessing the health of your business. That's what we're working on. So if you want to create client getting content in 30 minutes, then your first step is to start training your AI brain with all of your IP and knowledge source. So take all of your education for what you do and how you do it, and I want you to put it into a raw folder. Then you and AI, whichever AI tool you're using, whether it's Anthropic or it's OpenAI and you're using ChatGPT, and you're going to come up with doctrines together for your conversion content to live by. What are the main components? And you're going to say, here's my raw folder for knowledge, a doctrine to live by, to create SOPs and skills. Synthesize this material so that we can create conversion content, okay? It's going to come up with, you are the knowledge source of macro counting. Here's everything you need to know. And then you'll also come up with a knowledge source that is your ideal client avatar. We help who do what? Solve this problem so that benefit, which ultimately leads to benefit of benefit. Then the doctrines that you're likely going to need in order to create client getting content, you need to have your process, your specific process doctrine, what you do, how it solves what problem to get what desired outcome that your clients actually want. So that ultimate benefit. That's going to be a doctrine 1. Then you're going to need a doctrine that describes your ideal client. What's the problem they're in? What's the real problem that they don't know that they're in, or they're doing all the wrong things to fix it? What do they want? What are the ripple effect benefits? Why do they want it? Their values. The specificity in the person. Then you're going to give them outputs, examples of really powerful content pieces, like your top performing pieces. So give them examples. Then you need to give them a voice. Show them how you talk. Then you give them the conversion framework. And the conversion framework is hook, capture attention. If you are shifting perspective, you need to back up the claim. Like, this is a claim. Why do you know this claim to be true? The new insight or value, what you want them to know, the power of because, why this matters and why this works, and then what you want their call to action to be. Remember, your clients are asking, why should I listen to you? Will this work? Will this work for me? And do I need this now? And then once you've trained your AI tool, you can give it a very powerful prompt, asking to create 7 days of conversion content designed to attract more 3 pieces to attract more people, 3 pieces to nurture the audience I have, and 3 pieces that are specifically designed to invite people to raise their hand and say yes to themselves into the DM. And that's what you're looking for. So if this helped you, I'd love for you to connect with me over on Instagram at @BSimpsonFitness, or you have specific questions, come find me there. It's me in the DMs. I'd be happy to answer any questions that are coming up for you. Let me know in the comments down below if that actually helped. And of course, if you just want me to do this for you so that you don't have to do any of this work, then check the show notes, check the description. I showed you all the ways that you could get started on doing this today. Now, if you're not sure if your content is actually built to convert or built for conversions, then I've also left a tool down there in the description to help you identify whether or not your content is actually designed to convert people. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you on the next one.